Brian's Brian Matthews. Brian Matthews, athletic trainer. He's a Voorheesville High School graduate, played football and basketball there, and did a little hockey before for high school. He's also a Hartwick College graduate. He's the owner of Accelerate Athletics. There, he's doing that for many, many years. He's also was a contributor for a couple magazines, Muscle and Fitness and Stack.com, just to name a few. Brian, welcome aboard, man. Thanks for coming on in.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time, and hopefully we can help some folks out there that are looking to kind of answer or get some questions answered in terms of just developing basketball players.
Yes, right. Talk about your athletic career in high school and college, and talk about sports you excelled in as well.
Yeah. So I think I played at a tiny little Class C school called Voorheesville, like you mentioned before, and was lucky enough to play football and basketball there, and had a pretty decent run in both. We won a sectional title in football when I was there. And I think we were in the finals of the semis when I was on the hoop team. So pretty good with that sort of stuff. And then it's funny, man, just like the sports have changed a lot since I played and since you played. College wasn't really a thought for me, I guess, in terms of playing sports. It was kind of like one of those like, oh, I can do that. And then kind of once a couple coaches approached me about playing some football, I jumped right into it and was able to kind of go out to Hartwick. I ended up starting 4 years there and had a pretty decent career, and banged up my knee my senior year, the first play of the first game. Wow. Not that I was going to be looking at making a financial kind of life after football, but it was kind of a little bit of a blow to my ego, I guess, just to not have that senior year. But then, I just really got into the world of trying to kind of develop or just kind of figure out like things that I wish I had learned a little bit earlier in my life, and just through trial and error, self-education, going to different seminars all throughout the country. I think I've been able to expose myself to just some stuff that's out there, and just trying to bring it to the 518 and help the next generation of athletes kind of excel and do what they need to do on the court or field.
That's key. Before we switch to the next topic, though, tell me what position you played in football.
I went in thinking I was going to be like the next great Hartwick College quarterback, and then I played that for about 3 days, and then I played and then I had an opportunity to play free safety. So I was like a 6'6", 180-pound free safety.
Wow.
And not an interesting look. And I mean, it's 3-3 football, so you get all sorts of different walks that are just at that level. You got kids that are probably like legit D1 kids, and then you got kids that probably have no business even playing high school. It's a very kind of wide array a type of kid. So I played next to a kid who actually ended up being a 3-year All-American, who was 5'3", 135 pounds. Fastest kid I've ever been around. But that was our secondary. Me at 6'6", and then we had a kid who was 5'3". Like it's just funny, just the way it looked. But yeah, no. And then I ended up moving, like, as I got bigger and kind of developed a little bit more. I got up to about 235 and ended up playing outside linebacker. So went from free safety to outside backer. Yep.
Wow, very interesting, man. I know you like the hit. I assume, right? Like the hit.
Oh, loved it. Yeah, no, that was definitely in my wheelhouse. Definitely more of a defensive-minded sort of guy. Even when I played, high school quarterback, I would, tuck it and try and run people over with my extremely bony frame at the time. Always liked contact.
Yeah. All right, so talk to me about when did you see yourself being a predominant figure in the athletic training field here in the Capital District, and when did that come about? Basically, how'd you get started in this?
Oh, well, I initially worked for this was probably 2008, 2009. Always was involved in sports, and I was just looking to make a little bit of a career shift, I guess you could say. So I started working for a buddy of mine, Matt Phelps. He owned a gym called Phelps Gym, which is no longer around. They've kind of transformed into the world of like adult fitness, and it's now like Metabolic Meltdown or Metabolic. So I worked at Phelps Gym for a number of years, and had a great time doing it. Worked with a lot of, awesome kids. And I myself, was going to have a kid. So I was looking for something with a little bit more stability. So right now what I do is, during the school year, I work at Troy Middle School. I'm like a kind of discipline guy, dean of students kind of position, and then I run my side business, training athletes. So I don't know that I could ever give it up, but I just needed something with a little bit more stability in terms of something that will work better for my family. So I do that, and then I kind of do both. So that's kind of my setup right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I
Yep.
remember my son was with you for those years at
Oh yeah, no, he's a great kid.
yeah.
Bouncy as anything. Did he get it from you, or did it come
Oh no, he got it
from
from you.
mom? Yeah, that's from you. All right.
He got it from you. Yeah, man, he really worked hard and
Yeah,
really
no, he did a great job. Yeah.
But now let's. What is there a specific type of training or methodology that you focus on?
I think I do a lot of just general strength and general athleticism,
Mhm.
and I like to do like a minimal dose kind of program, if that makes sense. So I'm a huge fan of Dr. Yesus. So he's the guy that's kind of popularized the 1x20 method. And he's, in some circles thought of as like the leading biomechanist, like in the United States, if not the world. Like he edited the Soviet Sports Review for 30, 40 years. He knows more than, he's forgotten more than most trainers will ever, know their entire life. So he was the guy that I looked to in terms of just trying to figure out kind of the best way and the smartest way to get, kids faster, get them stronger, more mobile, more injury resistant. And the 1x20, it's almost sounds like too good to be true. It's pretty much you're hitting one set of 20. And in this day that kids are in with the hyper structured training schedules just in their sports, you look at it like the AAU culture now, it's not unlikely for a kid to play 5-6 games a weekend. And then they have, they got their shooting coach, they got their dribbling coach, they're doing this, they're doing that. So there's a ton of stuff that's getting thrown their way. And for my money, the minimum dose you can give them is probably the best, just in terms of all the stress that they're taking on, just in the other parts of their life as an athlete.
Right.
So we hit it. It's not to say that we're not working hard, but we're kind of working smart with it. Hit what you need to hit, track it, and then try and improve. And I think the tracking part is key, because if you're not tracking it, you don't really know if you're getting better or getting worse or just kind of staying the same. So that's kind of my approach. And that's not only a basketball thing. I'd say you can bring that into really any sport. It's funny. I was talking with a parent of a kid, and her daughter's a swimmer, and it's the same sort of thing. We're just trying to create explosive athletes, like strength generalists, speed generalists, and then also have them just be, get like a PhD in their sport, So that's kind of my approach, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Now,
Mhm.
what ages should parents start to look at to getting those their child to come in there and see you? Get some professional trainers with their child, man. What age should they start that at?
I've had kids as young as 9, and I think people hear strength training and they automatically think of like, the Olympic lifters that you'll see on TV like the past couple days, or the strongmen or power lifters. And strength training doesn't have to be any of those things. Like strength can be a byproduct of body weight exercises. You know what I mean? And I think body weight mastery is probably one of the most important things an athlete needs to do first before they progress to any sort of external loading. If you can't do a body weight squat, if you can't do a body weight lunge, if you struggle with a push-up, I don't really see any sense in trying to go maximal effort, really heavy in any of those movements. So just trying to be a master of your body weight first, and then just kind of go from there. And I'm big in just to kind of get kids faster, get them running better, and I think that's huge. That can get tinkered really at a young age too. There's a ton of different exercise, hops, skips, jumps that you can do to kind of increase power output and just kind of move better down the field or court. So yeah, I mean, and it's just keep it fun. I think that's the biggest thing too, you know, because if a kid isn't looking forward to going in and seeing you, or not me, just anyone in general, right? Just say if they want to, if they're with a hoops trainer and that's like it's an absolute bear, it's like they're not going to look forward to going to that session. And you want to make sure that they're looking forward to it and enjoying it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny that you said all those things about hop, skip, and jump and all that. I'm a physical education teacher. And
Yeah,
some of the stuff you saying is like stuff I do every day with my students.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. No, I think some of the best stuff you can do are many of the things that you do in PE. You know, I think just the games and the competitive nature of it. Like I implement a lot of that stuff in my kind of athletic sessions, I guess you could say.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yep.
Now I'm here with Brian Matthews of Accelerate Athletics. Brian, talk to me about what are some of the preventive exercises that athletes can do to help them, you know, ward off some of those potential injuries, those nagging injuries that may come along later.
Yeah, I think like what I was talking about before with the minimal effective dose, I think load management is big. So for the kids that are, and it's tough, man, because this whole grind culture is getting sold a ton with kids as well. But I mean, you look at the highest level, and not to be an absolute appeal to authority here, but like there's a reason guys who play in the pros spend millions of dollars a year on recovery because
Mm,
it's so important. You know, if you're going to go into competition, do you want to feel like you got hit by a truck, or do you want to feel like fresh and you know your mental's there and everything is feeling good?
mm,
So I think trying to make athletes conscious of that. I think you can do skill work daily. Like I think for hoop guys, I think they can get shots up. I think they can dribble. But for them to just go out and run miles and miles, or just do an endless array of plyometrics daily, or do some like really intense, like 90% or above weightlifting,
mm,
I think eventually the body breaks down. You know, so you got to be a little smarter in your approach with that. But
mm,
as far as exercises go, I think I think eccentric control, just meaning when the muscle's like lengthening. So it'd be like, for example, like if you're going down in a squat, having some like a 5-second negative, I think is a good place to go and just kind of see if we can kind of strengthen the tissue through that and just work on ranges of motion that are maybe a little bit greater than you would see in the sport itself, just so you can make that joint a little bit more robust if it were to go into that sort of position. I don't know if that made sense if I
oh,
was
nah,
explaining that. Was
nah,
that
that
good?
was good. That was real good.
That's good. Okay, cool. All right.
I definitely
All right.
understood it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too jargony, you know. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Also, I mean, what are some of the athletes that are more difficult to work with than other athletes? As far as like, is lacrosse easier than golf? Is golf harder than basketball? Is there anything, or is it just the individual type of student you're working with?
I would say the personality of the kid probably matters more than anything.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, there's more commonalities than differences in most of these sports as it is. You know, I mean, there's probably a little difference in the work to rest ratio for, say, like a baseball player than, you know, someone who's playing soccer.
Mhm.
But I always say, like, good movement is good movement. And speed kills, man. If you can get someone faster and you can get them moving better, then they're probably going to be probably a little bit more productive on whatever sport it is that they're playing. I'm not a big fan of just doing junk conditioning. I think conditioning should be kind of a byproduct of a sports practice. And unless a kid really struggles out there in terms of getting up and down the field or the court, I would just say try and practice maybe a little faster. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of just going out and just running forever. Because I mean, I always talk about like the speed stuff and the power stuff, right? If you look at like the speed strength continuum or whatever, like you have all the power stuff on one end of that aisle, and then all the conditioning stuff is on the other end of the aisle. So if I'm going to spend all my time trying to do conditioning and never touch the power stuff, I mean, the power stuff is what sells seats. You know what I'm saying? People aren't going to NBA games to see a guy run slowly, right?
Right.
They're
Right.
going to see a dude jump really high, jump really fast, or run really fast, that sort of thing. See a guy hit his head on the rim. That's like, whoa, rather than like, wow, he was really good at, jogging down that court. So the power stuff to me is really the key component, and just, most of the team sports that you do, even soccer guys who spend a lot of times kind of at like a slower intensity kind of thing. The highlights are the things that are powerful, a really vibrant kick, through ball that a guy is sprinting through as fast as he can. It's the power stuff that kind of makes people go, whoa, that's the highlight stuff,
Yeah. Talk about that more. I remember you mentioned it to my son when he was doing the training, that you want to, when you hit that ground right before you're about to leap, you want to generate as much power as you can. I remember, explain that before you go up, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. In terms of like jump mechanics and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, most people fall into two camps. So they're either 1 foot jumpers or 2 foot jumpers. So it's the strength and stability of that final push off that really determines how high you're going to go. And that can be developed through strength training. One guy, and again, you getting your appeal to authority, but it kind of makes people kind of think and go, oh, okay. Like Isaiah Rivera, if you want to look him up on Instagram or YouTube or wherever, he's a world-class dunker, weighs about 165 pounds, front squats 315, cleans over 100 pounds of his own body weight, and has a vertical jump in the high 40s approaching 50 inches. All right. So in order for him to really produce that force, he has to have that kind of relative strength. And just relative strength just means strength in comparison to your body weight. So there may be a guy out there that's 250 pounds that can squat 350. So he's stronger absolutely, but he's not stronger relatively. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So the relative strength is huge in terms of athleticism and running fast and jumping high. But yeah, in terms of what you're saying about that final step, like when you do that final step, like, I mean, I'm walking right now. Right. But say if I'm going to do like a 2 foot jump, like if I'm going to go, like it would be a left, right. That plant step, that right. If that thing is strong, that's going to be like an inflated basketball. You can kind of shoot it up. If that's weak and you kind of collapse, that's like a deflated basketball and nothing really happens. Right. So having that strength and that stability in those positions is huge in just enhancing kind of how many more inches you can get out of your jump. And a great guy to look into that, I got to give him a shout out, is my man Tyler Ray. So his company is Project Pure Athlete. He's arguably like the best jump coach on the planet. I wrote an article with him for stack.com that I don't know if you want to put in notes or something like that, but it's just talking about all the mechanics of jumping. He himself had a 48-inch vert, so it was over Jordan's vert. And he was on the dunk circuit for a while. I've been trying to get him to Albany, but COVID kind of hit. But I think it'd be cool if you could get him here. I mean, he could do a clinic and just kind of do his thing. Yeah. But yeah, no, there's definitely some cool guys out there that have a way better understanding of this stuff than I do. But yeah, like I said, I've just tried to surround myself around these type of dudes and just kind of learn what I can from them.
Yeah, I like that, man. Yep. Now, are the kids actually getting this type of feedback from you with all the stuff you explained to us now? Are you like breaking it down to them scientifically the way you're talking to us now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I always try and video kids running, and then I'll get a couple different angles of them. And going back to the yeses thing, two of the things that he did that were kind of unique is you hear that term like sports specific a lot.
Yes.
To me, it's like nails on a chalkboard. That drives me bananas, right? Because people don't know the history, right? And here I'm going down this thing again, right? So, like, it's all about transfer training, right? So the guy that invented transfer training is this guy named Anatoly Bondarchuk, who won a gold in the hammer throw in like the 60s, and then he coached 2 consecutive Soviet teams to sweeps, gold medal, bronze in back-to-back Olympics. Never been done before. So his whole thing was transfer training. So what he found, like in training hammer throwers, right? You reach a certain level of general strength in terms of back squatting and bench pressing and stuff like that. Right. And you almost have diminishing returns at a certain point. Like he would have these dudes that were squatting 500-600 pounds, right? Getting crazy strong, but their hammer throw wasn't improving. So he kind of was looking at that, and these guys were like literal scientists, and they would like experiment with different exercises that would transfer better, right? So that's what it gets kind of goofy, like in the climate of like this sports performance machine with people saying like, oh, this exercise is for this, or this exercise is for that. When a lot of times it's just a general exercise, it's not for anything. It's just an exercise. What is an actual exercise that can improve running is the thing that Yes has developed called these active cords. So you can do what's called a knee drive, and it's just the motion of punching your knee forward, attach a cord to your ankle, you punch those out. We do those literally every day for my running classes. And you have another one called a paw back, which is the opposite, the yin to the yang of the knee drive. So those are two, like, I guess, and I hate that term, sport specific or run specific exercises that you can do to enhance your running, right? But as far as like a basketball jump or like a football run, the people start getting goofy with that stuff, and that's where I kind of get like, oh boy, here I go. But that's just kind of the nature of it, right? It's a very kind of salesy driven profession. So like talking about it like this, it sometimes, I don't know if it's overwhelming for people or, it's just, whatever it may be. But I don't know if I just kind of went off on a tangent right there, but
you're good.
All right, bring me back.
Well, can you find a street light that you can get? We were losing you here, man. We can't even see you anymore.
You can't even see me? All right, I'm just walking around beautiful Colony right now.
Yeah, man. You got a flash on your phone or something?
I got two little kids, so when I like talk this loud in the house, it just becomes a nightmare. I got a street light coming up right now. I'll post up over there.
I know there's a lot of parents looking, will eventually look into getting to someone like you, and they all can't get to you, maybe because of distance or whatever it might be. So give the people out there something they should look into for athletic trainer to help their child. Like, what are the keys they should be looking at when they're talking to a trainer to hopefully work with their child? What would you think? What would be some good suggestions they should be looking out for, listening for when they hear this person?
Okay, so I mean, let's take basketball for example, right? Yeah. Not that you have to go straight combine with everything, but I think it's a good place to kind of start. Is kind of get some metrics, get some numbers for the kid, so then you can actually like prove that he's getting better in these specific type of things. And then you want to have him or her, always just work on their skill stuff daily. But yeah, I like to do what's called a rim check with a lot of my kids. Yeah. So if they're feeling good, I'll set up my camera, right? I stand at the same spot every time, and we check and we see how high they are on the rim, right? So you can, and over the course of a year, like one of the better ones that I had was my man Riley Mulvey, he's back from Iowa. He actually just came in today.
Oh, nice.
So, Riley was below the rim, years ago, and now he's, above the square. So just kind of seeing stuff like that, I think is huge, because that's kind of like an important thing in that sport, I would say. That's a couple more blocks, it's more rebounds, that's that sort of thing. Get a time for them running. I think that's a good thing. I've been using Simply Faster, Free Lap, the timing system. So I've been using that now to track, I'll track like flying 10s, or we could do like a 3/4 court sprint, and just see that they're getting better at that. Strength numbers, it doesn't have to be a squat, but you could have them do a squat, you could have them do a deadlift, just any of those sort of things of just kind of just like enhancing their kind of general athleticism. And then, I think those things right there can really help with confidence. If a kid's feeling stronger and he's feeling faster, then his game kind of may get taken up a notch just from that feeling right there, So I know for me, when I was feeling good and kind of had that extra kind of like swag going on, I played at a different sort of level. So I think that's important. I think the physical can oftentimes drive the mental,
Yeah. So the parents should be looking for a trainer that has some research behind what they're talking about, what they're showing their kid, right? Basically.
Yeah, and just someone who's measuring stuff. If you're not, and not that measurements are everything, but I think you kind of want to have an idea. Have an idea that you're progressing in the way that you're trying to progress. Right. So I think that's big.
Now, is there a difference? Obviously, there's a difference. You can always tell, like, the personality of a student that you're working with. You can tell when a kid is forced or when the kid wants to be there. Can you tell that right away, or is that something you have to dig down deep in, or how do you work through that?
100%, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm in the private industry too, just with what I do. So like, a lot of times I'm kind of like a stand-up comedian, and I got to really kind of sell the kid on me first and just kind of get them to like me, Whereas it's funny too, even with talking with some of the college kids, like they're getting into college now and they've only like worked with me. And I'm just like, dude, like your college strength coach may be a total jerk. And you gotta be able to handle that, man, just because that's just what it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm real accommodating in terms of like how's this feel? Does it feel all right? Feel, you know, that type of thing. I'll work with a kid with that sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's just trying. It's like anything else. It's teaching too. It's just trying to get the kid to value it, you know. So they may not really go into it seeing the value in it, but I think if you're able to break it down, and if they see results in terms of how they're feeling and how they're playing, I think that in itself can be huge, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can tell if a kid is like completely, mom is dragging him here, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't want to crush the kid's soul, but you know, you want to get them to kind of get them to trust you. I think that's big, you know.
Yeah. No question about it.
Because if you crush their soul, they're not going to come back ever again, you know.
No matter
Yeah.
what mom says.
Yeah. I mean, we were like same thing. Like you get a kid into your classroom, right? You get a kid that comes
Yes.
in, right? And
Mhm.
like you beef with him that one day, and that kid's coming back.
Yeah.
So like you as the adult, you got to kind of be like, listen, man, I know we didn't hit it off on the best foot, but like, let's work together. We got to work together the whole rest of the year, you know? So I think that seems the way like most sports are going these days too, right? Just
Mhm.
with the transfer portal and stuff like that, like you don't have to, like, there's no such thing as like junction boys anymore with like Bear Bryant. Like you're not going out in the middle of the Texas desert and running a kid till he can't run anymore.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, the
Right.
kid's just gonna pick his stuff up and transfer somewhere else. You know, that's just
Oh
how it
yeah.
is.
That
Yeah.
transfer portal was huge now. It's
Yeah,
flooded.
it's crazy, man. I mean, you got kids that are at a different school every single year, you
Yes.
know, and
Mhm.
like I mean, I think it's good in some respects, but I definitely have like mixed feelings about it too. Being like you know, D3 football guy who like went through some pretty aggressive conditioning sessions myself, you know.
Yep.
Like I think it can be good from time to time. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to crush a kid every single day, but like some of those moments I think are good in terms of developing character. Even
Yeah.
though that is a little contradictory in what I said about load management, but every once in a while I
Yeah.
think it ain't the worst thing, you know.
No, not at all. All right,
Yeah.
so we wind it down here. So what's next for you? I mean, you're doing all this. Is there any way are you thinking about expanding this program, doing more, starting something new? What's
Yeah,
next for you?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I've been doing this for a long, you know, or 10 years beyond now, you know. I don't know. You know, it's tough because like I don't think there's too many. I mean, is there a professional sports team in Albany, New York? Not
Maybe,
really. You know, there's not
yeah.
an NBA team in Albany.
No,
so,
no, no.
so what I found it's tough. You know, just if you just want to work with athletes, athletes are, you know, at school most of the year. So like I just looked at it as, what are you going to do at 11 o'clock on a Thursday in November? You know what I mean? So the way I have it set up now, it makes sense for me and just my family and what have you. And my wife is a lifer in Colony, so it would take something pretty substantial for us to uproot and go somewhere else. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I got some buddies that are in the that are in kind of the pro ranks, and that's a very transient kind of life. You know, like if you're in my role, if you're like a strength coach and you're playing and you're an NBA strength coach, and your team doesn't win, and someone's got to fall on the sword, and it usually isn't going to be the head coach. He's going to cut bait with other guys, you know. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a tough lifestyle.
Yeah. No
So
question
yep,
about it.
yep.
Okay. Before we leave though, tell us all your social media so people can get in contact with your
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, Twitter, whatever else.
Yeah, I don't. I think I have Twitter, but I don't think I use it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have Instagram. I update that, I guess, pretty frequently. It's just Accelerate Athletics, and the same thing on Facebook. I just use those two mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I
Now,
have a website. I do have a website. I used to blog a lot, but I haven't blogged a ton of late. But yeah, that's just accelerate-athletics.com. That's
okay.
all that is. Yep.
Yeah. So what type of stuff are you posting on those social media sites? What are you posting on there?
Usually it's just something that we've done for the day, workout wise. I'll post stuff about how a kid's progressing. Sometimes we'll just do some goofy fun pics, like that type of thing. Yeah, maybe some stuff that'll make you think a little bit. I'll just repost some things. I did one the other day on the cursed heel strike, which I see a ton from a lot of youth athletes in terms of how they run. Yeah, anything that that kind of strikes my fancy, I'll just throw up there, see if people like it.
Yeah. All right. Last question. All the kids you're training now and all that good stuff. Give us a couple kids to look out for in either sport: soccer, football, basketball, golf, whatever. Kid that's working hard in your program that you think that can make a difference on the program next year.
Sure. I mean, Riley, I've trained him. He's at University of Iowa right now. I've trained him probably since he was in 6th grade. I like drive from Rotterdam to Troy. Like, those guys put a ton of work in. And so he's a freshman right now. He came in today. I think he's looking at being like one of the first guys off the bench, which is pretty cool in the Big Ten. Yeah, I mean, the kid really has transformed himself into like not just like an average athlete to a good athlete, like a dude who moves very well for a guy who's 6'11". And that was not the case when I first saw him. And it's just a testament to him and just the work he's put in. So yeah, look out for Riley. Brendan Coyle, he's another local kid. He's a Colony product. And same sort of thing, phenomenal shooter. He's about 6'6", 6'7". Instead of playing at Colony this year, he decided to go to the NEPSAC and he went to Cushing Academy. And again, same sort of thing, really transformed himself athletically. We got about 6 or 7 inches on his vertical. And so he's not just a shooter now, like he's an athlete, so he was on the EYBL 17 team for the Rocks. And he had a couple 20-point games down at the Peach Jam. So you do that at the Peach Jam, people start to take notice, so he's getting more offers rolling in daily. Lacrosse wise, I would say keep an eye out on Grayson Vorgang. We've worked together for the last 2 years or so. I think he had 65 goals and 45 assists in a 15-game season this past year for Niskayuna. He's playing on all these national teams left and right. Yeah, and what's cool about all these kids is they kind of, I think, buy into my philosophy of just like, work hard, but also smart, and just do your sports skill stuff daily. And then just do your strength training and your speed stuff sparingly. A couple times a week is fine. You don't need to be in there every single day. Yeah. And then just kind of really addressing their recovery as well. Just having fun. That's huge.
Oh, that's good advice there. Like I think Brian Matthews coming on from Accelerate Athletics, man. Appreciate your time. Hopefully our audience here gain a lot of insight on athletic training, how important it is, and everything else. And I'd like to thank you again, man, for coming in. Hopefully I have you back to share some more stuff with us soon.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you so much for having me on. Hopefully this street lamp is doing the job.
A lot better.
But yeah, it's a nice night. I gotta take a little stroll, right? Why not?
Yes. I'm happy you're here and happy you're on board. But we'll be talking, and we'll stay in touch. All right.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Take care.
Take care, man. Later.